1300, you can pull this lever forward and bring the knife fully out of the way. The knife is completely disengaged for cover stitching. Notice that the 1300, because of the variety of stitch formations that you have at your disposal, has an additional looper. Here's your upper, here's your lower, and here's your chain stitch looper. Because we're setting the machine for a traditional cover stitch, we need to disengage that upper looper. Remembering to have the purple marking showing in your indicator window, push back on the black lever to disengage the upper looper. As we prepare to thread our serger for a cover stitch variation, notice that inside your 1300, just like on the 1150, you have a color-coded and numbered threading chart. For a cover stitch variation, we start with thread number 1 and the purple guides. This is your chain stitch looper. To thread the chain stitch looper, open the cloth plate, bring the thread up and over the thread guide, following the purple markings, down the back of the serger to the first thread guide. Continue threading following the guides, around the tension dial, through and across, under the guide, back to the purple marking, to the next purple indication, and then you'll want to retract the chain stitch looper. For a cover stitch variation, we'll bring the thread through the hole in the back of the looper and then through the eye of the looper. Remember to re-engage the looper. Since we're threading for a basic cover stitch, we need to move our needles from the overlock position to the cover stitch position. Slide the needle inserter up the shaft of the needle, loosen the screw, and remove. Remember to retighten the screw. Our thread chart indicates that for a cover stitch, the second threading path is the blue threading path, or the far right hand needle. Bring your thread up and over the thread stand, through the first guide, and follow the first blue threading path to the thread guide for the chain stitch needles indicated by the CS on the front of your overlock, to the blue guide, into the guide just above the needle bar area, and behind the metal bar indicated in purple. Included with your 1300 serger is this helpful needle threader. It'll make threading your needles a breeze. To use the needle threader that comes standard with your 1300, slide the thread between the prongs and the needle threader and rotate the threader so that the arrow is up. Slide the needle threader down the length of the needle with a slight amount of pressure so that the thread is pushed through the eye of the needle. You may wish to use your tweezers to pull the thread the remaining way through the eye of the needle. For a 3-thread wide cover stitch, there's no need to thread the center needle, so the next needle we'll be threading is indicated by the yellow markings. Bring the thread up and over the thread stand into the first thread guide, down the front. Remember that we're following the yellow markings for cover stitch, into the yellow guide, through the guide above the metal bar indicated in purple for cover stitch, and then into the eye of the needle. Pull those thread tails through and underneath the presser foot. For a wide cover stitch, or stitch number 22, notice that our LCD screen indicates that the knife should be disengaged, so we'll leave it up and out of the way. We'll adjust our tension settings as indicated, and make sure that our stitch length and our differential feed are set appropriately. The final step in our conversion from overlock to cover stitching is to change the plate. Slide the plate into place and close the looper cover. Remember to always begin cover stitching with your needles over the fabric. When you get to the end of your row, rotate the hand wheel back, lift the presser foot, and remove your work from the serger. A cover stitch can be done with 2 or 3 needle variations from a narrow to a wide. Oftentimes you'll see this in ready-made garments as a hem treatment on knits. From one side of the stitch, you'll see parallel rows of top stitching, while the back side of the stitch forms loops to finish off the raw edge. For decorative effects, you may wish to do your cover stitching with the right side of the fabric against the bed of the machine. With a decorative thread in your chain stitch looper, you'll be able to quickly create braided effects in any color that you desire. For chain stitch variations, we need to thread the chain stitch looper thread into the little pigtail or coil on the back side of the chain stitch looper. Simply grasp the thread and wind it into the coil. For a chain stitch variation, the only needle required is the far right needle in the chain and cover stitch needle clamp. Clip the left needle thread and remove the left needle. Remember to retighten the screw once the needle has been removed. The stitch number for our chain stitch is stitch number 16. This requires a needle tension setting of about 4.2. And we're ready to stitch. To quickly change our chain stitch thread to a heavy decorative thread, you can simply clip the existing thread and tie your new thread to the end of the thread tail. Trim and pull the thread through. Both a stable as well as a decorative stitch, you'll find lots of different variations and opportunities for using the chain stitch on your 1300. A chain stitch is a durable and practical stitch that can be used for seaming, that can be used for basting as it's very easy to remove from your work, or with the right side of your project down, a decorative thread in your chain stitch looper to create this elegant embroidered chain effect. With your 1300 MDC, you even have chain and overlock stitch combinations, providing you with a variety of creative and functional stitching opportunities. In order to take full advantage of the creative possibilities found within your BERNINA overlock, you want to visit your BERNINA dealer and take a look at all of the different educational materials that are available. For example, the Creative Serging Book by Nancy Bednar and Ann Vanderclay is full of lots of unique and creative ways to use your overlock stitches. And one of my favorites is my Features book. In the Features book, you'll find lots of information about all of the variety of overlock feet available for your BERNINA serger. And be sure to take advantage of the Mastering Your BERNINA serger classes offered through your local BERNINA dealer. In here, you'll find a variety of exercises to get you comfortable with all of the different stitch functions on your BERNINA serger. And you'll want to add a serger technique reference book to your serger library for additional information on all of the things that your serger can do. With all of the decorative and time saving features of your BERNINA serger, you'll find it an invaluable addition to your sewing room. So surge ahead with all the creative possibilities.